Alright, so in this video, I'll be giving you a very brief introduction into functions in Python, and I'll be doing this by providing a very simple example first and creating a function where the function just prints the term hello world. So first we have to define our function, and I'll define it as greeting. And basically defining just means we're naming our function greeting. So when Python wants to refer to our function, the function is just called greeting. And afterwards we put a double parentheses and a double dot. And I'll tell you what the parentheses is used for later on. But below, we just put what our function does. And I said before, the function just wants to print the term hello world. So when we run the function, the only thing it does is print hello world. If we run this, nothing will appear yet. And that's because below, we have to call our function back. And we do this by just writing the function's name, greeting, double parentheses. And this tells Python to execute this. It tells Python to do what the function is meant to do, and that is to print the term hello world. So if we do this and we run the function now, there, we get hello world. And I said here, right, we have a double parentheses, and what is that used for? Now basically, for this function, it doesn't need any other extra information for it to run. But let's say I make another example here, and I'll call this def user greeting, and I'll put in name. So what does this mean? For the function to run, it needs someone's name. And here, so we print hello, comma, name. So in this case, it's going to print hello and someone's name. So below it, when we want to call back the function and tell Python to execute this here, we have to put a name in the parentheses, greeting. Let's say the name is Ricardo or whatever. And if we run this, oh, whoops, it's not greeting. It's user greeting. If we run this, there, it says hello Ricardo. And that's because this function, for it to run, it needs a name that you have to input yourself here. So it's user greeting, and replacing the name here is Ricardo. And that's what the parentheses is used for. That's if the function needs extra information for it to actually be executed. So I can move on to a more complex problem that will further show this. So let's say you're at a market and you want to purchase some apples and you want to calculate the total cost of the apples. So first we have an input. So let's say amount. Amount equals integer input. And so later on when you run the program, it'll ask you how many apples you bought, or how many apples are we buying today? And below, we're going to define our function as total cost of apples. So this function here will help us calculate the total cost of the apples that we were buying in the market today. And here, the total cost of the apples is related to the amount of apples we were buying, right? So it needs this information that we're going to put above for it to run later on. And I'll show you what that means. So below, we can put in several information. So price, so the price of each apple, let's say the price of each apple is 5. So hashtag just puts a comment here so we know what it is. So price per apple in dollars. And to calculate the total cost, obviously it's the amount we buy with the price, right? So total cost equals to amount of apples here, which we're going to input, times the price of the apples, which is $5. And below, we're going to print the total cost of the apples is, comma, total cost. So later when this function is calculated it will print this term and tell us that what the total cost of the apples is. And here, just to make it clear, dollars. And so we have to call back this function, and we just do this by writing it back, right? Total cost of apples amount. And if we run this program, there, it'll ask us how many apples are we buying today? So let's say 10. If we enter, there, the total cost of the apples is $50, right? Because we buy 10 apples and the price of each apple is 5, so it's 50. And so I'll explain what each line does here. Again, Here we have our input, so we tell the program how many apples we're buying, and we make our function here. So we define total cost of apples, so that's the name of our function, and it is directly connected to the amount of apples we're buying, right? And below we have some information that is in the function. So the price per apple is 5, and this function here will calculate for us the total cost of the apples by calculating the amount which we've inputted above with the price, and later it will print for us this term that tells us the total cost, right? The total cost of the apples is relating here to the total cost, which is here, and afterwards we call back the function total cost of apples amount. When we run it, as we did before, there, it shows us our results, right? We can do it again. Let's say we bought 5 apples, so it's $25, right? 5 times 5. So that's basically it. Thank you.